Okay, human muscles are gonna starting with the facial muscles, or we can name it muscles of facial expression. They are the frontalis, which is the most anterior muscle. Actually, this muscle has another half in the most back called occipitalis. This is a flat muscle, and that's why it should be ending in a flat tendon, which we call it aponeurosis. So the frontalis, it arises from this area, and the occipitalis from the occipital, and both are going to be inserted into the galea aponeurotica, which is the broad membrane in between the two of them, this one. To complete the rest of the muscles of the face, we have around your eye orbicularis oculi, action, closure of your eye. We have next to that one on the side of the face, we name it temporalis. This muscle I didn't mention, so this is called temporalis. And then all around the mouth cavity, upper lip and lower lip, we have what's called orbicularis oris, which is this muscle all around. And then we have one that looks like my two fingers like this, which is this one. It's called masseter. When you clench your teeth, you can feel it quite easy, which is this muscle, masseter. And then we have one that blows your cheek. It's not clear here because of this fat area. Is called buccinator. You can make it this one. Okay, so we have masseter, and then we have buccinator, and we have orbicularis oris, and then orbicularis oculi, frontalis, temporalis. The neck muscles, we have the thyroid gland covering the middle of the front of your neck. It's covered on each side by 3 strap muscles. The longest or the most superficial is called sternohyoid. It starts from the sternum. We can use this mannequin. It starts from the sternum and it goes all the way up to the hyoid bone. This is the sternohyoid, the most superficial one. Deep to it, I have one arising from the sternum also, but it's going to be ending into the thyroid cartilage. So that one is called sternothyroid. It's deep to the first one. And then I have a short one starting from the thyroid cartilage going to the hyoid bone. Thyrohyoid muscle. Thyrohyoid muscle. And then I have one most lateral, but it takes origin from both the sternum and the clavicle, which is that one. Sternocleidomastoid. It's inserted into the mastoid bone on the side, on the back of your ear like that, which is this one. A landmark that will help you guys, both in the cat and the human. This external jugular vein runs anterior to it or superficial to this muscle. So one more time, we have the strap muscles, most superficial, sternohyoid, this one. Deep to it, which is that one, sternothyroid, ending in the thyroid cartilage. And then the completion of this sternothyroid is thyrohyoid. It's not quite clear here, but it's a small tiny muscle completing this one. And we have next to that the sternocleidomastoid with the external jugular vein running on it. Chest wall muscles. These are most superficial, pectoralis major, fan-shaped muscle like that. Deep to it, only on the middle 1/3, pectoralis minor, which is this one. So this is deep to that. Those make the chest wall. And then we have one that covers the sides of the chest wall, this muscle, serratus anterior. As you see, it interdigitates with the one of the abdominal muscles, the external oblique. So at least you know that this is the serratus anterior. Then we continue to the abdominal wall muscles. Abdominal wall muscles, we have 2 oblong muscles running longitudinal. They arise from the pubic bone and they end above at the deep surface of the ribs. So these are named rectus abdominis. We have 2, one on each side. Each is covered with a membrane called anterior rectus sheath, covering the muscle on each side. The rectus sheath of this muscle and the rectus sheath of this muscle are ending into this white midline membrane called linea alba. So the linea alba is extending all the way down in between these two recti. And then on each side, I have 3 flat muscles. You can know the name of the muscle from the direction of the fibers. If the fibers are running downwards and forwards and medial, like this one, this is the most outside one called external oblique muscle. Deep to it, on the other side, running in the opposite direction, called internal oblique. Okay? Deep to all, if I'm going to remove, I have the deepest running transversely called transversus abdominis. These are abdominal wall muscles. If you go to the back, we have a triangular shaped muscle called trapezius in the back of the neck. With the other side, they make a diamond shape. Trapezius and trapezius, they make a diamond shape like that on the back, on both sides. Okay? And then we have a muscle that makes the posterior axillary fold. It starts from here and goes this way. This is the latissimus dorsi. It goes that way to the sides to make the posterior axillary fold. If you hold the axilla from the back, this is the latissimus dorsi. Okay? To complete the muscles of the back, we have the butt muscles. The outermost is called gluteus maximus. Deep to it, I have gluteus medius. Deep to it, gluteus minimus. 3 layers. Top one, gluteus maximus. Middle one, gluteus medius. And then the deepest is gluteus minimus, the smallest one. These all are the trunk muscles. Let's go to the upper extremity muscles. The muscle that makes the roundness of the shoulder, this muscle is the deltoid. It makes the roundness of your shoulder. If we continue on the upper extremity, this is again the deltoid. Okay. Most anterior or the front of the upper arm, we have the biceps. This muscle. Biceps brachii. We have another biceps in the back of the thigh. So you have to give me the complete name. Biceps brachii. Why brachii? Because of this artery, deep to it, brachial artery. On the back of the arm, we have another muscle called the triceps. Why tri? Because it has 3 heads. 1, 2, 3. Triceps. If you go to the forearm, the rule to understand the muscles of the forearm, you have to know the action done by the front muscles. They all make flexion for the hand. Those in the back, they make extension to the hand. So we have to name those anterior located as flexors. How can we name each muscle? On the most medial, where is the pinky is, we name it ulnaris from the ulna, the bone of the forearm. The most lateral, we call it radialis from the radius, the bone of the forearm. So let's start with this one. This most medial muscle ending into the medial side of the hand like this. They all end into the carpal bones. They all end into the carpal bones. The 8 bones make the rest. So this is the first one. Flexor carpi ulnaris. Flexor because it makes flexion. Carpi because it ends in the carpal bone. Ulnaris because it's most medial. If I go to the most lateral, I have one which is the exception of this rule. Most lateral. This one. We're going to name it brachioradialis. So that is the brachioradialis. Most lateral. But I still have one that I can apply the rule like on the medial side. This one. Flexor carpi radialis. Flexor, it makes flexion. Carpi because it ends in the carpal bone. Radialis because it's laterally located. One more muscle. Look at this white band, which we call it carpal band. The only muscle that runs anterior to it with a long tendon, this what we call it palmaris longus. Deep to this carpal band, I have 2 muscles. One superficial, it still makes flexion, and one deep, it still makes flexion for the hand. But they are not ending in the carpal bone, they end in the digits. So the most superficial, which are these tendons, is called flexor digitorum superficialis. Deep to it, I have another one called flexor digitorum profundus. Of course, we cannot expose it in such a mannequin. When you go to the back of the hand, the back of the forearm, we're going to apply the same rule, but we call these as extensors because they make extension. They make extension. Okay? So the most medial, this is the pinky, so it should be this one. Extensor carpi ulnaris. Extensor carpi ulnaris. Okay? Most lateral. Actually, there are three of them. For simplicity, I need just one. Extensor carpi radialis, ending into the radial side. And then I have the four tendons ending in the digits. Extensor digitorum. Nothing superficial, nothing deep. These are all the muscles of the upper extremity. Let's go for the lower extremity muscles. Yeah, remove those. Lower extremity muscles. Actually, we're going to divide the thigh into three compartments. The front of thigh, medial side of thigh, and back of thigh. Each has a group of muscles. Let's start with the front of thigh. Front of thigh, there are four muscles called quadriceps femoris. Quadr means four. The quadriceps femoris are those. This is the most big, called rectus femoris. You remember the rectus abdominis and the anterior wall of the abdomen? So here is the rectus femoris, most medial, most front one. If I'm going to remove this one, I have deep to it three vasti. This vastus medialis, this vastus lateralis. If I'm going to remove all, I have vastus intermedius deep to all. So those are the four. We name them as quadriceps femoris. Starts with rectus femoris, and then vastus medialis, vastus lateralis, vastus intermedius. I'd like to add to the front of thigh muscles this long cylindrical muscle. This is the longest muscle in your body, called sartorius. Sartorius. One more muscle, most textbooks like to add it to the front of thigh. This one, gracilis. To total again, muscles of the front of thigh. Rectus femoris, the most important or the largest of the quadriceps, and then vastus medialis, vastus lateralis, vastus intermedius, sartorius, and then gracilis. Medial side of thigh. By the way, the front of thigh muscles, they all make extension of the knee and the flexion of the hip. Extension of the knee like this. Make your leg extended. But flexion of the hip like that. Okay? So these all make this action, and that's why you can name them as front of thigh or knee flexors or hip knee extensors or hip flexors. Let's go to the medial side of thigh. They all make adduction. What's adduction? If you make your leg like this, this is abduction. This is abduction. This is adduction. Like when you shy like that. So that's, we call all of them as adductors. We have adductor longus, we have adductor magnus, and we have adductor brevis. You can add gracilis for this group, or you can make it with the front of thigh. Okay? So again, adductor longus, adductor magnus, adductor brevis, deep to all. Back of thigh. Back of thigh, group of muscles all together named hamstring muscles. What are the hamstring muscles? Their action is flexion of the knee, the opposite to the front. Flexion of the knee or extension of the hip. These muscles are biceps femoris, and then two muscles hugging each other. One half of it is flesh and the other half is tendon. We call it semitendinosus, which is this, and is hugged by the deep one, which half of it is membrane, and that's why it's called semimembranosus. So the back thigh muscles are biceps femoris, semitendinosus, and semimembranosus. Now we go to the leg muscles. Leg muscles, we have your calf have two heads here. The other head is removed for this muscle. It's called gastrocnemius. This is the gastrocnemius muscle. The other head is removed. Deep to the gastrocnemius, I have this muscle, soleus. Soleus. The two of them unite in one tendon, makes your heel tendon or Achilles tendon or tendo Achilles, which is ending into the heel bone this way. Anterior to it, I have tibialis anterior, which is this muscle. That's all what you need about the leg and thigh muscles. Thank you.
I ran out of space.